Hello, and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. It's Tuesday, the 25th of July. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. On this week's podcast, moving along swiftly, we'll be going through our two pre-season games there last week. The 5-0 win over the MLS All-Stars and the 2-0 defeat to Man United. We'll also be just going on previewing the FC Barcelona game in brief. Our incomings, the three signings that we've had made already, to get Eamonn's and Ian's opinion on them. And
let's go. Enjoy the show.
I'm joined this week by another two new guests, as we'll be doing a rotating job this season to give everyone a fair go on the show. Eamonn Donnelly, welcome back. I hope you're having a nice summer. How are you, pal?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Ian. Great to be back there. I spent the day in Donabate there. Got a few strawberries inside Margaret's to go out with the tequila before you go to bed there. No, but I mean, to be away from the show, I can only say it in one sentence. Oh, but it's so frustrating, Deirdre. Even all.
That should give us at least 1,000 views before we even get into it. No, and I'm also joined by regular Mr. Meltdown, number one, Ian Gunnery. How are you, Ian? Are you having a good summer?
He's recovered.
Yeah, keeping good. I was saying there just before we went live that I'm no longer Meltdown number one. I've been to clear my head for the new season ahead, and I will be Mr. Positivity from now on.
I like that feeling. I can see a small grin on Eamon's face. We've got him back. We've got him back from the dead, Eamonn. He had a good rant in mid-June, I think it was. We lost Martin out of the group, and now we went on one of those Malaga retreats, and as you can see, he's a new man.
I just want to make it clear, Jonathan, before we start. I didn't leave the group. I went on 24-hour industrial action.
I said Martin.
I'm a trade union official. I mean, I reserve the right to take my own industrial action when I need to.
That's a fair point, actually. Yeah, you had a right there, and he took it. I like the way he goes by the book. We won't have any more walkouts on this show, lads, for the next 9 months. It's good to have you back on, lads, and thanks for coming on the show. Also, as I said last week, it's going to be a pleasure to have on next week's show an ex-Gooner from around the early 90s to mid-90s, Ian Selly. It's great to come on next week, so we look forward to him. Eamon, have you any memories of Ian Selly back in the day?
He was a very good player. He played the centre midfield. He just came after David Hillier, and he was a good box-to-box player, tackled hard. But injury got him. You know, he had a bad leg break, and he was a very promising player. He was, you know, and he's still a committed Gooner, so great value, and I hope he's doing well. You know, he was a big young prospect. Ian was, you know, he was there around the time of the Cup Winners' Cup triumph in 1994.
Yeah, actually, people forget about that. I think he might be around for the 95 campaign as well. Yeah. So it'll be a pleasure to have him on, and thanks for listening in, Ian, as well. And hopefully we might get a few more ex-Gooners on as well. You never know. But I know, just before we move on into the show as well this week, the show we had on with Conor McNamara, myself and Eamon and Ozzy were on that one. It's gone over to 4,000 views now for that one show, so it really went well, and hopefully we get him on again.
And that's great. And Conor himself is only claiming 200 of them. I'm claiming about 3,500.
I claim one of them likes and views was myself. No, I have to say, Eamonn was the star of the show. Sorry, Connor. Eamonn wore the sheepskin coat. No. No, so thanks to Connor for coming on. It really did bump up our views and subscribers. So it was a pleasure to have, and it was a good end of season show as well. I think we all agree. You can catch the show as always on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. Thanks to Martin Stumble for editing and for the new intro. I don't know whether you saw it there for last week's show. So thanks to Martin. Looked really well. Also catch us on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Check out our sister show Beyond the Last Man with Martin Stumble when the girls return. Check out our sponsor Balance Sports Direct and LUCAN Housekeeping Services as well. My mate Colin and Lynn there in LUCAN have that going about, so check them out there. Check out our friends at adjustarsel.com and of course the River Bar for all the Premier League games for the new coming season and Champions League nights, Tuesday and Wednesday, lads. Thank God we're back. Check us all there. I don't want to pass over to Eamonn regarding the club, Eamonn, tickets, etc. Would you like to say anything in regards to them?
Well, yeah, I mean, the ticketing system has become very, very stringent now. And I suppose what was happening, for people who don't know, just to explain, the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club applies for 25 tickets for every game. And we have to use 25 silver numbers. And what we were able to do in the past was, if a silver member looked for 2 tickets, we were able to email them 2 tickets. But now, because what was happening was on Ticket Exchange, red members who shouldn't have been doing this were buying tickets and selling them at 3 and 4 times the price. So in order to curb and, if not eliminate touting, anybody who wants an Arsenal ticket now has to be registered with Arsenal Football Club as a junior gunner, red member or silver member. Otherwise, we cannot transfer tickets to you. You will have to have a digital pass on your phone. Sorry, folks, but there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. And that's the situation at the moment.
Yeah, I know Martin was saying we've had a lot of new members signing up already, but the amount of asked for tickets and all is just ridiculous, you know. And he said, there's been numerous emails sent out by the committee explaining in very good detail of what's the story, you know, and hopefully that gets across to fans that, you know, we'll do our best, but you know, it's just the way the new ticketing, and because of the demand for tickets over the course of last season, how well we done, it's going to be even probably less, you know. So
no, I think we'll do okay on tickets, but the point is that we can't, on the one hand, give out about touting and the cost of tickets and all of that, and then maybe have a go at the club for trying to do something about it. So, like, the bottom line now is, if you want an Arsenal ticket, you have to be a registered member of Arsenal Football Club. Now, some people get confused and they think, "Oh, I'm a member of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club."
Yeah,
that is a social event that entitles you to, you know, get reduced drinks, blah blah blah, you know, come in and meet people. But in order to apply for a ticket, you have to be a member of Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, that's the red, silver membership. Yeah, probably really red membership, isn't it now? Because silver membership to waiting list is, God, I don't know what I am on it now. But
on the silver membership wait list is a joke. Like, I mean, I think I was a red level when I was about 9 or 10 or something like that, or whenever it started. And I think I got lucky. I think at the time, when we were about a year or 2 into the Emirates, is when there's a good chunk of silvers got it then, and then it just kind of lessened after that.
Yeah, I think, Ian, were you not registered as a junior gunner at one stage?
I was a junior gunner as well.
You see, junior gunners automatically went to silver. That's what happened.
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah, that's exactly how it probably happened then.
Yeah. I've been a red,
which I think is ageism, by the way. It's discrimination against the elderly.
You're only 25, Eamonn. You're still young. So.
25 stone. No, I'll be writing a strongly worded letter to the club about that. Age discrimination.
Yeah, I fear there's another 24-hour strike action from Eamon going on.
Yeah.
No, but you can catch all the info will be on the Dublin Arsenal Instagram, and if you pop into the club as well. The first game back aiming in the River Bar will be the Community Shield to take you with us.
Well, we're not entirely sure we'll be in the River Bar. It's under negotiation about the venue, so
Okay,
I don't want to say too much about that because it's a bit like transfer speculation and transfer talks. It's under negotiation.
We don't want any
We'll wait
meltdowns.
for Fabrizio Romano to confirm it.
We are looking at a number of options. Okay, so the River Bar could be next year. We'll know in a couple of weeks. Okay.
Super. We know it will be in Eamon's kitchen, so. Yeah, no. Hopefully, look, whatever venue we're in, we always get good support. So here's to the forthcoming season.
Well, just on behalf of the committee of the Dublin Arts Supporters Club, we aim to give the supporters the best watching experience we can, and that's what we're saying. So we have options, and let's see how that goes over the next 10 days. Okay.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, I have to say, great credit has to be given to the committee. The work he's do. It doesn't go unnoticed, Eamon. So I have to say, a big fair play there.
We were looking at this place in Dingle, but it's not great in the winter.
It might refresh everyone's thoughts every time there's a meltdown after a match.
Yeah.
And anything I suppose we mentioned before we get into that, the Irish women's soccer team, unfortunate to lose 1-0 last week. I think they deserved a draw against Australia, in my opinion. Katie McCabe was brilliant again, pretty threw her body on the line whenever she had to. Just great 100% commitment. Canada is tomorrow, lads, isn't it? 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Yeah, I'll be definitely watching it.
Yeah, were you happy enough, lads, briefly with the performance last Thursday of the girls? Yeah.
I think they definitely can keep their heads held high with the performance that they had. I think they deserved the draw. It was very unfortunate the penalty that they gave away. It was a penalty. Unfortunately, it's just you live and learn with that. I don't make that mistake again. But again, when you think first game, you're playing Australia in Australia. It's no easy task, but I think they done well, and I think if they play like that for the next 2 games, I think they've every chance.
Yeah, I think they could get something against Canada. Eamon, did you see the match last Thursday morning yet?
No, I watched the highlights reel back.
Yeah. Again,
we're going in as underdogs. It's the first time ever,
Yeah.
And Ireland would be very competitive against any team in the world, and they were competitive. They were honest, and they've got a chance. They have a chance. And when you see there's a very evening off of standards in the competition generally, so it's been really good to watch. I think bits I've seen of it now have been really good to watch.
Yeah, I know. Our own English side of Sweden scored for them there yesterday, I think it was, and Russo's had a good start as well. So all the women of the Arsenal women's team have had a good start in their first games of the World Cup. So we can only wish them the best of luck, and hopefully they all come home unscathed, no injuries, and ready to kickstart another season. Which I say they'll have hopefully another successful one as well. Just before we kick on into the review of the 2 games, lads, sadly, the passing of Trevor Francis and today of Chris Bart-Williams, who both played for Sheffield Wednesday and Notts Forest. Trevor Francis was the first £1 million player, 1.18 million. I know Brian Clough says he was 999,999 to take the pressure off at the time, but he scored in the European Cup final in 1979 against Malmo. And Chris Bart-Williams, I'd remember him more. He's pretty decent. I think midfielder, wasn't he, for Sheffield Wednesday first? Sad to see 2 former players of the game passing. Eamon, would you like to say anything on the 2?
Well, Chris Bart-Williams to me, was one of those guys in the 90s who was just an all-round nuts and bolts, hard, honest player. You
Yeah.
know, really hard, honest player. Trevor Francis, I remember from my boyhood, because in 1972, when he was playing for Birmingham City, I was only 6 or 7. I remember reading that Bill Shankly from Liverpool actually wanted to sign him. That's how
Right.
good he was.
Really, yeah. Right.
That's how good he was. But the problem
Yeah.
was, Shankly didn't sign him because Trevor Francis was too brave, and he got injured. So Shankly reckoned he'd only have him for about 25 games a season because he was that brave. You
Right.
know, and you have to think of the game back in those days when it was like third degree murder. And he survived all of that. When he signed for Nottingham Forest, he'd actually probably been slightly maybe past his best, but then he goes and scores the winner in the European Cup final for a team that I have a great fondness for, because Brian Clough to me is the greatest manager that ever lived.
Yeah.
To take Derby County and Nottingham Forest to titles and European championships. I mean, when you think about that achievement, but I always say about the Trevor Francis goal, in honour of him, if you watch it again, there's a little fat bloke that played out in the left wing for Nottingham Forest called John Robertson, right? And anybody who ever wants to know anything about how a fella shouldn't look playing football but can play, look at John Robertson. He was an absolute Mozart, right? And he put the cross in for Trevor Francis, and very, very sad passing, sudden death as well, Jonathan. 69 years of age.
Yeah.
Sometimes in this life, you're better off if you have something wrong with you and you get looked after. If you've nothing wrong with you, you can go suddenly, So
Yeah.
very sad. I was very sad to hear that yesterday.
I have to say as well, Eamonn, I would have remembered Trevor Francis more myself. I think Ian probably as well, maybe vaguely, as a pundit for Sky Sports. He'd done the commentary. Very good pundit, wasn't he, as well? His knowledge of the
Very
game
good.
was, and
Great
a true
knowledge, yeah.
gentleman as well, yeah. Yeah, he was very,
Mind you, he did sound like an advertisement for Vicks Sinex nasal spray.
He was a bit nasally, wasn't he? Yeah. He probably broke his nose so many times he was that brave.
Yeah.
But I always cling on to that thing that Bill Shankly wanted to sign him, but he reckoned this guy is too brave, a bit like Jack Wilshere, and gets himself hurt too much, and he won't have him for the whole season.
I didn't realise Bill Shankly wanted to sign him for Liverpool, yeah. That shows the standard he had then, yeah. I think as far as Chris Barrett-Williams, I think if I'm right saying he played in the 93 FA Cup and League Cup finals against us as well. Yeah, he was he was kind of a unsung hero really there. But I just thought I'd mention the two lads because we're just playing Nottingham Forest in the first game of the season. I thought I'd give them a mention as well. And you never like seeing an ex-pro, pass away so suddenly. So I thought I'd pay tribute to Chris Barrett-Williams, who was 49 sadly, and Trevor Francis was 69. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace. So we move on, lads, to the US tour. Last week, last Thursday, we played the MLS All-Stars. There was a 2-day rest between that and the United game. Jesus, Trossard, Jorginho, Martinelli, and Havertz all got in the score sheet. Really good performance. I still don't know about the away kit. I'm 50-50 on it. I go to you, Eamonn. Did you see much of the game yourself? I only caught the highlights now on the Arsenal.
I saw both games, and I think they have to be you can't analyse each one of them on their own. I think you have to analyse them together.
Yeah.
Because this is pre-season stuff, so it's not like analysing the Premier League game. First of all, the kit is poxy, right? As I said, in case a swarm of bees ever comes down on us, we're in camouflage. It's shocking. And I think the kit manufacturers, seriously now, it's an absolute shocker. To me, and I'm being serious here, it makes a bit of a joke of the Arsenal having a kit like that. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a shocker. Now it looks like
you wouldn't wear a pair of slippers like that,
I think even just on that they should change the third kit, the green kit, and make that the away kit, and choose the other one for the third kit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I just think they should just consign that kit to history. It's shocking. I think supporters should actually say, sorry, we don't want to see our team playing in that kit. You know?
It's a bad one for Adidas now. They have usually a cracker of a away one, but when you look at Man United's tour kit, or second kit, it looks a shocker. So I think everyone kind of.
I don't, Jonathan. I don't really care about what kit other teams wear, and I generally don't care what kit Arsenal.
Were you pleased, Eamonn, getting back to the football, I suppose? Were you pleased with the final? I know the MLS All-Stars isn't, the type of opposition that you could, it was only pre-season as well, but were you happy with the performance from the lads?
It's irrelevant. No, it is. It's absolutely irrelevant because when you play pre-season games, A, you haven't started training properly. B, you're going out there for an exhibition. C, it's all about team bonding. And it doesn't really matter whether so-and-so had a good move or blah, blah, blah. It was a stroll in the park, and it was a pre-season game and we won. And when Arsene Wenger had young teams, we used to win loads of games in pre-season. We used to beat Real Madrid and blah, blah. It's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. It's only about getting players on the pitch and playing football. But the goals are nice.
100%.
I mean, the Jesus goal, great. Probably wouldn't happen in the Premiership because the goalkeeper wouldn't have been gone fishing. The Odegaard pass from Martinelli was like the one at Brighton last year. Lovely. Good to see Martinelli back on his feet.
Yeah.
Saka was Saka. And it was all okay. It was all good stuff. And it was all feel good. And do you know what? If you look at the owners we have and you look at the market that we're tapping into, it was a great experience and a really good day out for the club. But in terms of my tactical analysis of the match, you would be better off asking Felix the feral cat who sits outside my window because it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
The game on Saturday was different.
Could I ask you as well, sorry, what have you met? I know they're only 2 games into their Arsenal career. Royce, Havertz and Timber. What do you make of them so far? I know it's early days, but...
Well, I think Timber's a bit wooden.
You're taking Nazi's line.
No, actually, I'll talk about that. If you want to ask, maybe you might get Ian's views because I've views about Timber and how he's going to impact the entire team. But you've really got to look at the Man United game before you can kind of stress that view. Because I think Timber might be the reason why Kieran Tierney stays at the club.
What did you make of the United game while we're on that point?
What did I make of it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I made of it. We approached that game as a pre-season friendly, and they approached it as a Premier League game. And they kicked us off the park. Their average foul count last year was around 11 fouls a game. They fouled us 22 times. Martinez had a terrible chop at Saka in a friendly game, So we turned up to play a friendly in exhibition mode, and I've no problem with that because that's what it was. It wasn't the Premier League game. They turned up to brutalise us, and we dominated the ball. We had the better chances. Okay, the 2 mistakes. I thought Ramsdale was shocking for the first goal. Yeah. He's got to get that away. Gabriel was like a 3-ring circus for the second goal. But it's early season. Players are only getting into their stride. But the one thing that was noticeable was Arsenal are now a prize scalp. People want to beat us because of what we achieved last season. People want to beat us, right? And United came wired up for that game. We weren't wired up for it. And by the way, I've no problem with that. Why would we wired up for pre-season friendlies? It's about getting players on the pitch. But tactically, I'd say to you this. I'm looking at Jurrien Timber, and I'm saying to myself, he's going to try and do that fullback inversion that Zinchenko does on the right-hand side. So you've got to ask yourself, well, what does that mean? Well, first of all, let's not compromise what we had last year with White and Saka, because we tortured people down the right-hand side with that combination. But maybe we got a bit predictable as the season wore on. You can't do that inversion with Tierney. So I'm just thinking to myself, if Timber is going to play on the right side of the defence, that might open up more games for Tierney rather than Zinchenko. Just saying. So let's not all sell Kieran Tierney off just yet, you know. I thought his attitude, actually, he was the sub in the 2 games, but he got more minutes than the other fullbacks. And I thought he was a bright spot. As for Declan Rice, I mean, the guy has only just landed. You know, people are expecting Declan Rice to be controlling games. You know, there's 3 weeks of constant coaching to go in to try and get him to find the way we play. You know, he's only with the team 8-9 days. You know, but Declan Rice, to me, you know, great signing. He'll be okay, but it's very early. I mean, trying to analyze preseason games is like, you know.
Actually, sorry. Do you think, just briefly, do you think the 105 million price tag? Do you think that will play on Declan Rice, or do you think he'll grasp the moment playing for Arsenal? I don't think the price tag will be a big deal, in my opinion. Do you?
No, Declan Rice is made of it. Declan Rice's brain is made of metal. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know?
He's easily turned. He's welcome to play for Ireland any day.
Well, he's a lot to learn as a footballer, but he was a statement signing for us. I mean, I remember there was a small bit of a meltdown when Man City put a bid in from among Arsenal fans.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Look, to fend off Man City, that is a statement signing. We're not mentioning any names for the
Man City never want. But by the way, Man City never wanted Declan Rice.
I think they just threw that in, didn't they? Just upset. Yeah.
Well, it was either one of 2 things. Really funny things happen in football, folks. Because remember, we watch the football, but there's a kind of a mafia-like business community there, right?
Yeah.
It may well have been one of 2 things. One is that they threw a bid in to make us pay more, so as we could afford less for other players. Or the second one is that they actually helped us because it got the owners to cough up the price. I'm just saying, you need to think about that, you know?
Yeah, it's a
There's all sorts of connections in football behind the scenes that we don't even see.
Yeah.
It's a mad business. But it's great to have him at the Arsenal. Yeah.
But there was a bloke that Ian Gunnery used to know, and he, like, back in June, so he was sacking Edu and everybody, and you know. But I'll tell you what, went away on a retreat. He climbed Loch Derg. He had the black toast and black tea, and he's back in full fettle now, you know.
See that.
It was needed. It was needed.
5-0 victory over the MLS All-Star team. Were you happy enough with that performance?
Yeah, like happy enough. I agree with Eamonn. Like, it's pre-season, you know. Like, you can't be looking too much into it. I mean, I think we won nearly every pre-season game last season. You know, like it's, you know, you're not going into it as it's an exhibition match. You know, like you're going into it for fitness. You're going into it to try and, you know, try out different positions, try out different tactics, see what works. If you fall flat on your ass, it doesn't really matter. You know, you're better off to try it now than try it in a league match and you're losing points because of it. So, like, I mean, I think there was quite a good gel for the MLS game. I thought there was good goals, especially Jesus' goal as well. I don't know would he necessarily do that in a league game either. Yeah. Here's hoping he does. Would love to see it. Yeah. I think Saka does what he does best. I think Saka was immense. I think one thing I like the way how we're playing is we seem to have carried the pace of our attack into this pre-season as well. Like, we were quite a pacey team last season, and I was hoping that the legs wouldn't kind of get to them and that would kind of have slowed down a bit. So it seems like we have like that quick kind of like passing game, which is great to see. I think with the United game, I think the result kind of flatters United, if I'm honest. I think United really were just going out to kick people, and we just made two mistakes, as mistakes are going to happen in pre-season. You're only kind of getting into the groove, and I think we were just unfortunate there. I think we had our chance in the first half, that we could have got 2 or 3 goals. It just didn't pay off. It happens, but I think like the more concern for me was I hope we got out of that without any injuries. That was a victory in itself that we didn't.
Yeah.
Because some of the tackles that United were throwing in were disgusting. Like for a game that really didn't mean anything to either of them. You know, it was there to just give the American fans a chance to see like Arsenal Man United play. That's simply it. Like, you know, there was no need to make it the game that it was. I do think the likes of Timber and Rice, the new signings coming in, I think they do look decent enough. That from what I've seen, I think I have to say Kai Havertz, I think he's getting a lot of bad rep. Like I think he's already being slated before he even kind of kicked the ball. And I know I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I was when he did sign, I was like, how is this kind of going to work? But you can see different like ways he plays, that he can kind of ping balls to the left or the right, and he does have a bit of pace to him then as well. So I can see where it can work. And look, a massive gap for us near the end of last season was not having the squad depth. That was massive. You know, like, I mean, if we had the squad depth going into the start of the season as we would have, like if we had that going into the end of last season, I think we probably would have won the league. Like there were small margins there, and look, you live and learn. But I think there's a lot of positivity to be seen there. But it's early days. I think we'll start to really see, I feel, where our standard is when it comes to the Charity Shield coming up against Man City. I feel like that will be like, again, I know, Eamonn, you're shaking your head there. Like, it's probably not going to be like the full standard, but like it'll give you a good idea of, you know, where things are going to work.
No, it won't. We danced all over Man City in the 2014 Charity Shield, and then we went down and lost at home. And then we lost at home to Aston Villa 3-1 at home in the first game this season. So the Charity Shield means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? It's a shadow boxing experience, but I'm very interested in Ian's comments about squad depth, because no doubt the squad depth cost us last year. But if we'd have got a lucky break, if Saliba hadn't got injured, we might have just made it through, right? But squad depth did cost us. But the question that arises then is, well, why didn't we have enough squad? Because we're building. You can't just buy a big squad. Chelsea tried it, and you saw what happened then. Now they're offloading some of their better players, right? The Kai Havertz thing is amazing, because imagine if Kai Havertz wasn't playing for Chelsea and he was playing for Leipzig and he came on the market with a great reputation and they beat us to his signature. What would the reaction be like by Arsenal fans?
Oh, they'd go mad. They would.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to impress upon people is Mikel, and I played the game at a decent level. I think I understand the game. I try my best, but I'm sure Mikel Arteta knows a lot more than I do about football, and I'm sure Edu does as well. And we have trusted these guys with the running of the club, and they have identified. Kai Havertz was somebody they wanted. He wasn't just some shopping trolley availability. He was somebody they identified and wanted. So let's trust that. Declan Rice was somebody they wanted, right? That Declan Rice was as good as done last December. I can tell you that, because it was somebody they wanted. I'm not sure about Yuri and Timber, because I actually would confess didn't know a whole lot, but they seem to know something, right? So the next question is, we got these 3 guys in, and now people are looking for this body, that body, and the other body. A lot depends on whether Thomas Partey stays or goes, right? If Thomas Partey goes, we are still light in the central midfield, right? If Kieran Tierney goes, we're light on the left side of the defence, right? So I think a few more things will happen before the closure of the window at the end of August, but it won't happen anytime soon. So I would urge all Arsenal people now to concentrate on the start of the season and keep all transfer talk down. We got our business done early for once. How many times have we looked at other clubs getting their business done and we're saying we're scratching around at the end of August? This time we're not. As 2 of the 3 signings we got were people we absolutely wanted, and the third one, we may have wanted him, I don't know, but they were very keen on him. So, look, the only meaningful game is Nottingham Forest on the 12th of August. It's the only meaningful game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, the US tours really does sell the brand, really, isn't it, of Arsenal and the US owners, you know, and letting the US fans get a glimpse of Arsenal players that they don't see, you know, week in, week out like we would, which is we're in the fortunate position to, Yes, it's the next game then, of course, is is it into Thursday morning, 3:30 a.m. against
3:30 a.m.
Against Barcelona. They came down with 6 there. So I don't know if that's still questionable, but as far as I know, it's still going ahead.
The game should still be going ahead, but they're not sure whether Barcelona will be able to field like a strong side, but they'll probably just throw something together. Yeah,
it's just really just getting minutes in the legs, isn't it, for the lads, and you know, finish the tour off on a high. You know, I think from probably the Emirates Cup game onwards, with being back at the Emirates, we'd start seeing the Arsenal again. You know, at that stage, you should be kind of nearly up to speed again. You know, it's a sellout actually, the Emirates Cup, which is, I'm surprised with it. Most seasons they've struggled, so it shows the interest is really there again. You know, after the last 2 or 3 seasons under Arteta, you know, a 6 p.m. kickoff that is against Monaco. And I think the Arsene Wenger statue would be unveiled Thursday outside the Emirates is the talk. So long overdue. Are you happy to see that, Eamonn?
What's that?
Are you happy to see Arsene Wenger's statue outside the Emirates?
Of course. He's actually built. Arsene Wenger has done as much as Herbert Chapman. Herbert Chapman built the modern Arsenal from the 1930s to the 1970s. Arsene Wenger came in and rebuilt the modern Arsenal. Of course I'm happy.
Yeah. I'd like to see an Eamonn Donnelly statue outside.
Well, the way I've been playing football lately, I've been acting like a statue, but
we give credit where it's due.
No, but
if the player doesn't say focus on injury, I'd be very disappointed.
Arsene Wenger put the club where it is now.
Yeah, he's put us on the map. Yeah,
he had inherited a dinosaur club.
Yeah,
a dinosaur club, and he achieved great things with a dinosaur club, and then created the pathway to where we're on now. You know, so
yeah, it's bad to think like in 3 years' time, the Emirates Stadium will be 20 years old, and all thanks to Arsene Wenger's vision. You know, back a few years before that. Yeah, it's you know, I don't think I don't think he gets the credit really. He truly deserves. You know,
No.
You know, like he really, him and David Dean were a great duo, though. You know, and I think when David Dean left, it kind of, you know, he lost his sidekick in ways, but he like to qualify for the Champions League. What was this? 16 years in the bounds, was it? I think. You know, it's just incredible.
I'm not sure about this whole David Dean eulogization, Jonathan.
Do you not think
David Dean wanted? I don't know. David Dean wanted to relocate our club to Wembley.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You think of what all this North London forever You know, like to me, Arsenal have no business being located in Wembley, right? David Dean wanted to locate our club in Wembley. He also wanted Alistair Usmanov in the club. And he also sold his shares for a massive, massive profit. So I know he did good things and all that, but let's not all hold David Dean up there as this paragon of virtue, you know?
In terms of transfers, though, I mean, he did help him a lot, didn't he? Like, he got the players that he wanted as well, you know. Like, you know, that's the only thing I'd say about David Dean. You know, he brought good days to Arsenal as well. Yeah.
Well, I can say lots of good things about David Dean, but we go on about him as if, like, you know, he didn't have original sin on his soul. He wanted to move us to Wembley. He sold the shares for massive profit, and we give it about the Cronkies. Right? Come on now, you know?
To be honest, that I didn't hear about the he wanted us at Wembley. That kind of, I didn't hear that one. And when
you weren't listening properly then.
You see how bad the Champions League nights went at Wembley. Yeah, it was a good move in the end, wasn't it? That's what happened. Yeah,
it's actually in Wenger's book that Dean wanted to move us to Wembley because Dean felt that the whole idea of and I can understand a bit of this knocking down Highbury and building a new stadium and putting a 300 million. He felt that we could go over to Wembley, get some deal with the FA, have us 80,000, you know, blah blah.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have been in N5. We'd have been over in Northwest London, and that's not where the heart of the club is, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's great. It's great to have the stadium still beside the old ground, isn't it? Yes. It's definitely a family club. Yeah, I think we'd all agree. Then after the Monaco game, it's Man City then in the Community Shield, and then it's into the week after. It's Nottingham Forest at home. It's 12:30 kickoff, and that's when we'll see the real Arsenal. Hopefully, I'm hoping for a good enough season like last season. It's going to be tough to replicate, I think, but I think we've got the squad to be, you know, to be a challenger, and to say that we're a title challenger again, you know, it's something to be proud of, you know, because the last few years have just been, you know, you feel like switching to being a Spurs fan. I can see Eamonn having his jersey on there.
I think you're on your own there, Jonathan.
I'd like to see Harry Kane come to the Arsenal so we can give him a good lesson.
Why, Jonathan?
He's a big name striker that we need.
Big name striker. He's heading for 30 years of age. He's going to look for 350 grand a week. That is not the trajectory we're on. Like, I keep telling you, this is not FIFA Manager.
We didn't get to where we didn't get to where we are. In all fairness, like, all jokes aside, we didn't get to where we are copying other people. We've done it our own way. And we've brought in the players. Arteta's brought in the players he wants, playing it the way he wants. He's doing it his way, and that's why we had such a good season last season. Is because we're trying to build a club and move it in a way that nobody else is kind of trying to do. And we're, you know, that's what's going to win you leagues, is being different. You know, if we can't turn around and say, right, we're going to beat Man City. You know, you're going to carbon copy Man City. It's not going to happen. You know, and like Chelsea are a prime example of it. Chelsea there spent 700-800 million on players and thinking, oh, we can just buy the league like City has done, and it was an utter train crash. You know, so it just shows you have to go, like, find a way that works, but like do it your own way. You don't have to copy any other team that does it.
Yeah, we're doing our own blueprint ourselves, aren't we? You know, yeah. Look, it is. As Eamonn says, we said it last season as well. It's an exciting project that's going on. You know,
definitely. Like,
yeah. We've got a whole new generation of fans as well. We've got
Jonathan, just on the Harry Kane thing, like, just from a tactical perspective, right? Harry Kane is brilliant. He's carried that Spurs team, right? But they play in a certain way. Everything links around him. If you brought Harry Kane into the Arsenal, What do you do with Martinelli and Saka?
Let's be honest, Eamonn.
We play a different way.
He'd never play for us, like it'd be a non-runner.
Well,
As you said, you couldn't drop any of the current players for him, because then you'd be really unsettling the.
But he wouldn't fit into the team. That's the point I'm making.
No, he's not the type of player to.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think we do.
Actually, here's a question for you: Kai Havertz. I didn't see that transfer happening at all, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans didn't see that one coming at all. Can you see him? Where do you see him as? Do you see him as a central striker, or do you see him playing in behind?
I see him playing where Granit Xhaka played.
Can you see him playing there? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not only that. So what's my opinion worth? Jack Shite. Like that's what Mikel Arteta can see. That's more important. But also, if it was 20 minutes to go in a game and you needed to do something different, he has that presence in the box that you could do it. So there's a versatility there,
Do you see big things of him as well, Ian? Kai Havertz?
Yeah, I definitely can, and I trust Arteta. Do you know that kind of way? Like you have to look at the players he's brought in. Every single player he's brought in, I can't off the top of my head think of one player that hasn't worked. Do you know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. A full trust and a backup in the players that he brings in. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he manages to just get it all to click. But when you look at it last season, there's nothing that didn't really work well for us. The only thing that came down to it was fitness. But look, Jesus, that's going to happen. As Eamonn hit the nail on the head, we're only kind of building the squad. It's not going to happen overnight. And look, it's unfortunate. I loved us to win the league, but we're seeing progression, and that's good enough for me.
Ian, just on that point, I mean, there's 3 players I can think of that you could say the jury's out, right? Sambi Lokonga didn't quite work out, but we didn't buy him expensively, and we can move him on. So Nuno Tavares didn't work out, but we didn't buy him expensively, right? And you can move him on at the same price. The one big question mark is over Fabio Vieira, whether that's going to work out or not. Because we paid 32 million for him,
Yeah,
you'd hope that does work out, because I can see with that guy, he's never going to hack it in the Premier League, but I could see him doing damage in the Champions League. So maybe we always planned to be back in the high level of European football. We're back there now, and maybe we're just building a squad to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the incomings have been really, 3 solid incomings. I think Jordan Timber, he's only 22, but he's gained great experience with Ajax, over the 3 years he was with him, plenty of Champions League experience and very athletic. So, they wouldn't pinpoint a player like that, as Ian said. You haven't made very many bad signings, Ed, in terms of outgoings, lads, Pepe definitely be one. He didn't even bother. I don't think he travelled with the squad on the US tour. Can you see us getting any sort of fee for him? There hasn't been many clubs even pointing an interest in his name.
To be honest, it doesn't really matter. I think if we can get anything for Pepe, just let him go. There's no kind of room in the squad for Pepe. I feel like my more concern is the likes of Partey and for Tierney. Like, I think for us, we want to be keeping them. In my personal opinion, like, I think Tierney has a great attitude. Like, he's not a player that moans if he doesn't get game time. Like, he's quite happy to run his ass off and to play a part in any game. I mean, a lot of the time last season he came on off the bench and he had a big part to playing games. And I think that's rare in a player, because you get a player that's just not happy to to be that kind of bench player you bring on, and I think he's extremely good to try and keep for that, especially going into the Champions League now, where there's going to be less rotation of players, and you're going to be kind of playing your first team players a lot more than say we would have been if we were in the Europa League. And I think Partey shown as well that he gives us that bit of a, I suppose, a rock core to the defence as well. That I think we're actually going to miss even more so with Xhaka being gone now. That I think Partey is even more a necessity to keep with Xhaka gone, because I think you don't want to disturb the core of that defence. And I think you're signing Declan Rice there, you're signing Timber. Timber, we don't know yet if that's going to work or what way that does work. But we know what has worked for us last season, and there was very little to complain about from a defensive point of view of where we were last season. So I'm like, you don't want to rock the boat, I suppose, too much in that department. So I think in terms of outgoings, I don't want to say too much on it, but I think if two players we definitely that are, I suppose, speculated to leave, which I hope don't leave, would be Partey and Tierney.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. You need to think about this, right? For a start, Partey will not leave unless we get another midfield player.
Yeah.
Right? And with the Saudi, you see, it's not just about winning the league and, you know, having your best squad. There are economic realities around all of this. We spent 105 million quid on Declan Rice. We've got to get some of that back.
Yeah.
Right? Balogun will leave. Unfortunately, but it'll fetch us 45 or 50 million quid. So it's all very well saying, I will keep Balogun, he's better than Nketiah. We have to get some of the money back in somewhere. You can't just keep right? So in my mind, Balogun will leave. I'm not so sure Tierney will leave because of the point I made earlier, with Zinchenko's fitness not being, you know, bulletproof. I think Arsenal will play that inverted fullback role on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side. That might create more outlets for Tierney. So I think Tierney could probably get 30 plus games next season at a top club. Why would he want to leave us? You know, I think that might happen. With the Saudi money, and they're throwing mad money around, like if the Saudis offered us 40 or 50 million for Thomas Partey, you've got to say, yeah. But you've got to have somebody else step in. You've got to have somebody else step in. The one player I'm pleased that's not going to leave is Emil Smith-Rowe, right? He won't be leaving, right? Rob Holding will leave. Maybe Alan Nenny, I don't know. They might hang on to him just in case. But there's going to be Reece Nelson is staying. So, you know, we've got to shed a few players. We can't just keep buying people and not shed a few players, you know.
Well, on that, like what you saying, like if Partey goes, we do have to bring someone in. Like, I mean, you'd be more, I suppose, as you say, you've played the game, so you'd know, I suppose, a lot more than me in terms of what kind of type of player slots better good into that position. Like, who would you say, if Partey does go, is a person to slot in there, like that we could potentially get? Like,
you see, it's hard to know. Like, I mean, all this nonsense about Caicedo, like we're not going to pay that money. Like I'm paid. Like the lad that's apparently joining Liverpool, Lavia, was probably a good fit for that. But they're buying this Brazilian lad, Belletti now, you know, for €8 million. He could be the answer. I don't know. I'm not Mikel Arteta or I'm not Edu, but what I can tell you is that these guys are not clueless. They know what they're doing, you know. Apparently, the word is that they're buying that Brazilian lad. That's been the word for a number of weeks. So he could well be. Well, if we buy him, Declan Rice is going to play most weeks. But if Declan Rice can't play, that's who'll play, you know. So as for Nicolas Pepe, that was a complete mafia signing. Barcelona my arse, UNICEF my arse, Raul Sanelli and his contacts checkbook, paying 72 million for him. He was a dud. He was an absolute dud. Absolute dud. We got absolutely burned. And see, this is the thing that people don't understand. And that was before Arteta. And before they do. Right?
Yeah.
We have to pick up the cost for the 72 million. We still haven't paid that yet. You know?
Yeah, which is shocking. When you think of it like that.
Of our worst signings.
If he went off to Saudi and we got 10 million from him, it would be, I'd wear the Dick Turpin mask.
It's just the money we spent on him. It's just a waste, isn't it? You know, that's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I think even who had Nice or Rennes, was it last season? Nice, I think it was. And not even them. I don't think he even started that many games for them. Unknown, you know, I think his attitude stinks.
But just before we finish, the only guy that we have that's really sellable, like, okay, you might pick up 30 million for Kieran Tierney. I prefer him to stay. He's full of the right stuff, that guy, you know.
He's committed.
Balogun has been sent training on his own earlier today. He's going. But he'll be going at about 50 million.
Yeah.
Now, he costs us nothing.
I don't think they'll sell him.
Okay, he'll be sold. Trust me, Jonathan. You'll be on this show next week saying you were right.
No, I don't think they'd sell him. You know, I don't think.
No, I agree with Eamonn. He's 100%
gone.
gone.
Selling a player that scored top scorer for you know, I know it was only.
What do you mean, John? You can't sell him? We spent 105 million on Declan Rice. 50 million. Hold on, no. You see, you can't sell him. You're not actually looking at the old picture. The whole picture.
We need quality in the squad.
We need money, Jonathan. We need money back.
We need money, but you still need to keep quality, Eamonn.
Yeah, but so where are we going to get the money, Jonathan?
For what?
So we spent 105 million on Declan Rice. We still haven't paid off Nicholas Pepe. We spent 45 million on Urian Timber. We spent 65 million on Kai Havertz. Now, where are you going to get the money back?
We can worry about that as the season progresses.
No, you see, it doesn't work like that. Because the club will, like, if we left you in charge, we might as well leave the Garden Gnome in charge. Right? Because like, we'd be broke. And you work for the bookmakers. Jesus Christ. You know, let's think about this. Right? You could sell Eamonn Smith-Rowe. Hold on. Hear me out now. You could sell Eamonn Smith-Rowe for about 40 million. But here's your choice. Do you sell Eamonn Smith-Rowe for 40 million, who's a proven Premier League player? Okay, he was injured last season. Or do you sell an unproven Premier League player for 50 million? What do you do?
But he's never really given the chance in the Premier League in fairness. Balogun. So
he wasn't old enough. He's only making his confirmation.
That's what I'm saying.
Even also, guys, that the whole point of this, the whole point of where you want Arsenal to run, you want Arsenal to be run like a smart. You want Arsenal to be run like a smart club, though. You want Arsenal to be run like a smart club, and I agree with Eamonn. 110%. I agree with Eamonn. The whole point of being run as a smart club is when you have a player that is at his peak, or so-called the media think he's at his peak. You sell him then.
Keep Balogun would be my opinion. You know,
you're not going to get the money for Nketiah, Jonathan.
You'd be surprised what's being offered him. That lad is a 40 million price tag, Nketiah. No bother.
So you'd keep Balogun over Nketiah?
I think so, yeah. What I've seen of Balogun last season and in this pre-season.
In the French league. Nicholas Pepe was brilliant.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what league you're in.
Gervinho was brilliant in the French league.
You have to give the lad a chance, Eamonn.
Hang on, Jonathan. Hang on. Gervinho was brilliant.
Doesn't like listening to other opinions. No.
Gervinho was brilliant in the French league. Shamak was brilliant in the French league. Right?
In fairness, weren't Arsenal players, you know,
Gervinho was brilliant in the French league. Shamak was brilliant in the French league. Sanogo was brilliant in the French league. Come on!
No, but Balogun is different class, Eamonn. He's well above them players even.
How do you know? He hasn't been trialled yet.
Give him up to Christmas, I think. Give him to Christmas at Arsenal and let's see what he's about.
But you know, you say that though, right? Here's the thing. You say give him to Christmas. He could be injured and then he could get a really, really bad injury and you can't sell him then.
Chance, you know, you have to give the lad a
chance. Ian is absolutely right. He has a 50.
I
He has
don't
a
know
50
how much
million. Now, Ian is
he's
absolutely right. He has a 50 million price tag on him now, and by Christmas he could be in the January sales.
Yeah.
I think he deserves at least a chance. You know, like he proved himself in the French league last season. Give him.
Okay. Well, then sell Eamonn Smith-Rowe and get 50 million for him.
I
But you
probably
can't
would
just
sell
keep.
him because Smith Rowe is just injury prone. I probably would cash in on him.
Oh. No, but Jonathan, we need money in. It can't be just money out.
That's what I'm saying. Get rid of Rowe, Smith Rowe, 50 million. Happy days. Because you know,
it's, like, to be fair, and like with like no disrespect, that comment doesn't make sense to me because like Smith Rowe has proven he can do it for Arsenal.
He's proven he's injury prone.
No, but he has. Like, he has. He's proven in all competitions that he can do it. We don't like with Balogun. Like you're comparing two completely different leagues, like different style of play, different intensity. You can't say like they're both chalk and cheese. Like they're not. Like I mean, like you can make a player in the Turkish league look like Messi by stats. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't go off that. At the end of the day,
I don't know if Smith Rowe has a place in the
you have to have money in. Because I'll be the first person, as much as you, Jonathan, and you have to be fair, we would be the first person going for Arteta's head going, why can't we buy players? Why are we going into the bargain basement? Because we can't. We can, like, you're not going to pull it out of a cashier in Tesco. You have to get the money from somewhere. Do you know?
It's look. You hate to see player go. You know, aside from Pepe, but you know, I in my opinion, I think Balogun has a future at Arsenal. You know, I think he deserves a chance. That's just my opinion.
Jonathan, whether you think that or not, he is going to be sold.
I don't think he will. I don't. I think we need a striker.
I told you all Declan Rice would sign for the Arsenal. I told you all that.
We all knew that last season.
I told you all Declan Rice would be signing for Arsenal. I said that on last year. I said that on last season podcast, and I'm telling you now, Balogun will be sold purely for his financial value.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be look, it'd be unfortunate to see him go, but if he does, look, so be it. But you know, I think
look, I personally,
he has got potential. The lad has potential.
He does, but so does many players. And he's many players that hasn't worked out. Do you know?
I can remember before your time, lads, we had a dilemma, very similar, between Kevin Campbell and Andy Cole. And Kevin Campbell got in ahead of Andy Cole in coming up from the academy, right? And we opted to keep Kevin Campbell, and he was part of the '91 title winning squad. And we let Andy Cole go to Bristol City, and we got a really good price for him for a kid, you know. And then he went on to become, you know, not a record breaker, but he was a goal machine for Newcastle and Man United. But we couldn't keep both of them. There's economics involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't a great player, Andy Cole, was he?
But also, like another thing as well, like we don't have an unlimited freaking bank account. And one thing that scares me as well,
you don't want financial fair play to come in as well. You know,
you just have to say, look at the teams. Like United got done by financial fair play. Chelsea have been done by financial fair play. Like we'll be down in that bucket if we don't be this smart, and we have to bring money in. It's crazy not to. Yes, okay, you want to keep all these players that have potential, this, that, or the other. That's all well and good. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I want the club to be around. I don't want us to be getting like fair and like financial kind of things coming out.
To be honest with you, Ian, and I'll finish on this, right? You're absolutely dead right. And Jonathan, you are dead right about Balogun's potential, right? And if somebody was offering us 20 million for Balogun, I'd say, do you know what? We'll see that one out. We'll try and raise money some other way. But if somebody's offering you 50 million for a guy who's only played 2 Premier League games, I would say that's smart economics.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's sad the way it has to be economics, because you'd love to see him. You'd love to see how he matures as an Arsenal player. But look, I suppose deep down, if it means having to sell him, and you have to sell him, so be it. But it's just sad to see a prospect like that go. But as Eamonn said there, Kevin Campbell, Andy Cole is a good example. You have to take one over the other, isn't it?
Yeah. Ideally, you'd like to see them sell him to Europe.
Yeah.
And he's a smart boy, Balogun. He's not a mug who wouldn't settle anywhere.
Yeah.
So ideally, if some
Where do
European
you see him
club comes
going,
in,
Eamonn? Do you see him going to Europe? It looks realistic, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah. I can see him probably going back to League One.
No. He'll be making a step up.
Do you think so? Yeah.
Oh, he'll be in Spain or Italy. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, if we could get clever business where, look, 50 million, don't care where he goes. Be honest.
50 million is 50 million.
Then look, it could be a thing where Balogun we end up getting a bit of money for him, and maybe we get another player in as part of the same deal. You don't know what way it's going to work. But look, the main thing is Arsenal isn't an unlimited bank account. Yeah, at the end of the day, we're all Arsenal Football Club fans. We're not fans of one particular player. Yeah, you want the club to be here for generation onto generation. And if we go, let's keep all our players and spend, it's not going to be an Arsenal. That's as simple as that.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I reckon it will go right down to transfer deadline day, lads. There'll be a lot of outgoings now. I think in the next month or so, we'll see a lot of players. Sadly, Cedric probably be definitely one of them has to leave. And followed by Pepe and the rest. Then it's hard to work out. Maybe Lukonga probably has to be another one.
Holding
and Tavares, as you said earlier, Eamonn. Definitely, them five. I'd be very surprised if they're not gone by the transfer deadline day. Yeah. That was a good discussion on the transfer bit of business, lads. Is there anything else Arsenal related that you've heard or you'd like mentioned or anything else?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot.
I think we've covered a lot there now, to be fair.
Yeah, I have to say I'm I'm delighted he didn't go into Meltdown. Pretty calm and
as I said, I'm a changed person coming into this season.
I have to say,
Ian, I am your life coach.
I need you, Eamonn. I need you.
He knows how to calm the situation, Eamonn. He sees if he can stoke out the fires in Rhodes Island and great.
There's about 15,000 games in these legs, you know what I
mean? He's seen it out, he's played it out, and he's drank it out. He can't beat that.
Oh, stop.
Great, lads, anyway. As I said at the start of the show, lads. Hopefully Ian Selly comes on next week. It'd be a great boost, and I'm sure Ian will add something of his playing days of Arsenal and can add a bit more to it as well. So I look forward to having, hopefully, fingers crossed, Ian Selly on the show next week. I'd like to thank Ian Gunnery and Eamonn. It was a really good show, lads. Really enjoyed the debate. And I'll issue the P45s by post at the end of the show. As always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, Spotify, and all the other social media pages. But until next week, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you again next week. Have a good week, lads.
Pleasure, lads. All the best.
Long Paul.